Thanks for joining Let's Get to Talking, presented to you by Black Gay Table Talk. I'm Kenan.
I'm Dorian.
Join us as we take you on a journey of discussion from two Black gay male perspectives.
Get ready for authentic, heartfelt, raunchy, thought-provoking, and relatable shows.
We're happy to be a part of your podcast family.
Let's get to talking.
Oh, okay.
Yo,
Tell more.
like in Chicago, they call it Boys Town. It's like it's around. The guys will stand on the corner, and before Craigslist and Adam for Adam destroyed the world, guys would actually just stand on corners and just wink at you when you would walk or drive by. So my store was located in that area. So there were people cruising for sex, and then they would see the store, and then they would go in. And so I had the best of both worlds. There were hot guys that were walking the street in front of me, and there were people coming in, and they wanted pictures of hot guys. What was so funny was even the sex workers would actually come in and say, well, how do I get to be one of those people on those postcards? Or how do I get to be on one of those posters? And I was able to connect them with different photographers and groups so that they could do things other than just sell dick on the street. They could take a picture of their naked dick and then let their picture make money.
Right. I love it, Dale.
Very interesting. Now, did you transition into online, or did you just completely?
Yes. Do you still craft and make these?
I make dolls for myself now.
Okay.
And then of course I collect dolls. But once in 1999, when I decided to move to Los Angeles with my buddy who had written a show for me, my first show, I decided I didn't at that time. I didn't want to transition the doll.
Okay.
It was too much to have to do. I'm moving to an area, to Los Angeles, someplace I had never been in my life before, and I just really wanted to go there and focus on my show. So I did the week that I left QVC, I answered an ad in a paper. Wesley Snipes, Patrick Swayze, and John Leguizamo were doing Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. And they were looking for actors to be background players in drag. So we were shutting down the QVC fashion channel. So there's two QVCs in my life. There's the main QVC, and then there's the fashion channel. So I worked on the fashion channel, which was the smaller one. And once Barry Diller, this corporate executive, bought QVC, he decided to get rid of the fashion channel. So what I did was, all of my friends said, you should just take these clothes and we got models here, we got wigs here, we got makeup here, and you should, take some pictures and send them to New York. Who knows? You could get discovered. So, me, I'm just like, oh my God, I could get famous. So they gave me designer dresses and gowns and wigs and stuff like that, because we were getting rid of all of that stuff because they were shutting the channel down. So I got picked and I got to go to New York for a week to work as a background extra in Tu Wong Fu. So when I came back to Baltimore, when I moved back home, my buddy, who was a television writer, he says, what was that experience like? I said, it was amazing. I had never done drag in my life. And I met all of these drag queens, transgender girls. And I learned that we spent a week together, sharing stories. And he said, I want to write a show. I want to write you a one-man show about being a drag queen. So we created a character and came up with, we used elements of my life, we put it together, and it won a Maryland State Arts Council Award for my performance. And then it won him an award for writing. So we got the cash award, we invested, and we let it sit for 6 months. And then when it grew, that's what we used as our money to move to Los Angeles. So when we moved to Los Angeles, he had gone out previously and he got a producer to say, okay, we'll run your show at the Hudson Backstage Theater. So we ran it for 4 months. And within the first 2 months, I had booked a television pilot. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. I'm going to be launched. And a television pilot was me as a drag queen, actually me as a madam. Me, at the time, I didn't understand it. I thought I was a drag queen, but actually I was cast as a transgender woman. So I have always apologized to my trans friends. Like, Libby, I'm sorry for taking this job from you. But the pilot ended up not being picked up. But it was the reason that helped me see where all of it was going to go. So for me, I couldn't once I decided to go to Los Angeles and we were going to do the play, I couldn't focus on the store anymore. For that, at that moment, it was like, wow, let me see how I can break into the business. And it was then I got an agent as a result of the show. I got that pilot, but then the downhill was this was literally right before RuPaul's Drag Race. Patrick Ian Polk was actually even filming Punks at the time. He was already in the middle of filming Punks. The only auditions I could get were drag queen roles. And and they didn't have online auditions. So they said, we need you in an hour to come to Hollywood in full drag for the director to see you. So you would literally have to stop what you were doing, get in full drag, drive through the streets of Los Angeles from Inglewood in the hood all the way to Hollywood to audition for 5 minutes and then drive all the way back and then take all that shit off. And that got to be really boring. And that got to be really irritating after a while. Because as much as I love being pretty, I don't love getting pretty all the time. That's just way too much work.
Actually,
I hope I answered your question. I always answer a question, but then I take you into a whole nother realm, and then both of you go, I gotta process that for a minute.
No, it's fine.
I think that's why I'm so in love with you, Dale. Your story is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And then like there's so many twists and turns to it that one would not think. You know what I'm saying? Like I would watch the pilot. I mean the show. I would watch it. So I hope that my life in 3 easy payments. I hope that can come. I would watch that. And I did see your one man show. I saw some clips from it, right? But you mentioned that you kind of became stereotyped or stereocast, right?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Yeah, stereotyped, yes.
Right.
Stereotyped. So do you think there was a particular time where you were able to move around that, or do you think that kind of held you stagnant for longer than it should have?
Well, that's a really powerful question because depending on where you are in your career, stereotypes can harm or hurt you. For me, as a 40-some-year-old man coming to Hollywood, I wanted the world at my feet. I wanted to be able to audition and be anything. Now, I proudly go, stereotype me, because baby, I already got money in the bank. I already got a decent job. I got some flexibility on my time. If I walk away every 6 months and do a little gay role, that's just extra icing on the cake for me.
Correct.
Because my goal now at 65 is my husband, is having a home, it's hoping to take care of my mom. So I'm not as selfishly actor career oriented because I have friends who they wake up every morning. It's like, I got to be discovered today. I got to get this role. I got to get this role. And for me, I'm just like, like during the pandemic, I wanted a new reel. So I went through the casting notices and I auditioned for every single gay character. I typecast myself. And I was like, and so so when I put my reel together for my agent, it was like my big old fat gay acting reel. So it was like gay character to gay character to gay character. And it's like, I don't mind now because that's what gives me joy. It's not like I'll ever have a career like Denzel Washington. I'm not trying to get to the Oscars with this groundbreaking role. I'm happy doing my art, and I'm happy as a gay man, and I'm comfortable as a gay man that, it's like, give me some of the shit Billy Porter don't want no more. Or, give me a little bit of that, and I'm good because I'm not greedy like that because I found my joy in other things. I found my joy in sharing my story. I found my joy in inspiring young gay people. I found my joy in my home life. So those are the things that I missed along the way when I was so driven to just get to the fame. Now that I realize it's so important to have a good credit rating, it's so important to be able to save. It's so important to be able to invest in your 401k that it's like, and a lot of actors get all the way to fame and don't have any of that. Because it costs a lot to be an actor. You got to take classes, and the people who are really booking they're investing in themselves. You invest in PR people, you invest in casting notices, you invest in headshots, all of that stuff. And I'm like, it's a nice side gig for me right now, but it's just one of the many facets of who I am. So I can be typecast now because Because that for me it just strengthens my brand. It just strengthens my brand as a black gay man. Oh, you can see me in some black gay shit. Because when they cast me in the Dorito commercial, they said you remind us of Andre Leon Talley, and I was like, that's such an honor. They said, think
Yes.
of yourself as him on the front row of this fashion show as this lady walks down the runway with a dog that's his hair is cut into a Doritos triangle. And then they manipulated my hair to make a Doritos triangle. And they said, you're Andre Leon Talley. You're sitting there at the front row of the fashion show. And I was like, fine, typecast me as him. He's an icon.
Yes. I love
So
it.
it seems like you understood the importance of multiple streams of income before it even became the big term.
Right. But it's not just multiple streams of income, it's multiple streams of joy, multiple streams of
Correct.
what brings you joy.
Ooh,
And what happens is that the money ends up coming eventually. But when you start searching for the streams of joy that bring you happiness is when you can find the joy in it all at the end of the day.
I'm so glad you said that. The
Yes.
money will come eventually. What really matters is you being able to find that joy in what you're doing or tapping into your talents, right?
Yeah.
Being able to do what you love. Eventually, those things will come. But even if they never come, at least you have joy. You know, I love
That
that.
I never wanted to be that person. I wanted to be the person that said I at least went for my dreams. Like, my inspirational quote is from Mary Wilson, is dare to dream. Because if without dreams, we don't have anything.
True.
Well, I can speak for myself. I didn't try to please my parents in what I did, but I knew I still needed to be somewhat conservative and not that outspoken middle child who, no offense about this statement, who tries to find their identity.
Yeah,
Because they're
because
lost
you're
between.
always saying, see me, see me. Because my older brother had asthma and my sister was a girl. So I'm just a
There
boy
you
in the
go.
middle. And I'm like, see me, see me. And he had perfect pitch. He was a straight A student and she was a girl. But I was just like, no, y'all gotta see me. So, middle child journey is something, baby.
It's funny, my mom, I I was young when I came out. I was what, maybe 14, 15, 14, 15.
Okay.
I convinced my mom and dad to let my boyfriend come over for Thanksgiving dinner. So literally, I had the family members that came in and they were, well, who is this? Oh, that's Kenan's boyfriend. Oh, Lord, Heavenly Father, God, and then like praying, like, come here, let me pray over you. So it took my mama coming in and she was like, excuse me? Y'all feel like y'all gotta come up in this mother and pray? No, oh hell no! Y'all need to worry about this. Y'all need to worry about that. And now you're not gonna come in here disrespecting my child and blah 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 blah. If you don't like it, you can go get the f out. I'm like, okay, you want to play?
How did the boyfriend react to it all? That's what I want to know.
He actually, so I kind of lied about his age just a little bit, but
You
he was
18.
yeah, he was 18, 19.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, I think I should go. No, you're not leaving. No, hell no. You're here now. This is my family. Come on in.
Accept us the
But
way we are.
yes, but he felt bad and he didn't want to be the cause of a rift because he had to be closeted in his family for a while.
Right.
There was no accepting it from his father or his mother. They were pastors. They were in the church. This is Memphis. It's the Bible Belt. So at that time, he understood the value of or the gain in being quiet and not causing too much of a rift. But my mom was more progressive, and my dad was more progressive. So they understood and they accepted me. Like we had a few hurdles in the beginning, but they accepted me for the most part. And but he was scared. He was like, I think I should go. I don't want to cause a rift. That's your family. They can't be at it like that because of you and I. And I'm like, that's their issue to deal with. That has nothing to do with us. My mom has spoke her piece. This her house. So what she says goes. Sit your ass down and let's eat.
Okay. Yeah, I done
That's
had
how.
them pastors. I done had them pastors. I done had them what do you call them? Ministers of music. And baby, that's a lot to deal with. That's a lot to
Mm-hmm.
deal with.
Him
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
and ministers of music.
And you said that he was older. A lot of my when I was younger coming up, a lot of my partners were older than me. And it's interesting. After you hit to a certain age, then they start getting younger. And it's like now
Yes.
I'm with a young one, and it's quite a different journey. I felt like, well, you know what, Dale, I put in a good amount of time with them older brothers, so I guess the payoff now is, I got a little young one, a little Dominican that's on the young side, but
Yes.
I'm able to pass, I'm able to pass the torch on to him. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Dale. Dale's Tales: How God Created Butterflies and Other African American Stories. Go. Just let it all out.
How it
Let
came
it.
to be. So during the pandemic, I was, as I said, I was submitting to different projects. So I saw this ad in Backstage for a storyteller for a storytelling project, and I sent some clips from YouTube, some of my old Umoja Sasa stories, and so I got called and they said, we would love for you to be on this storytelling project. He's a white man. His name is Jim Weiss, and he's like well known in the educational arts field, and he wanted to do a storytelling project where he had a black, a Latino, and an Asian person contribute to this CD
Mm-hmm.
project. So you would have to. They wanted me to shoot in his studio in Arizona. So they flew me to Arizona. I met him. He was a really wonderful man, and we developed. Well, I took one of my old Umoja Sasa stories and I developed it into a story that could be told on Audible. And as we were driving to the airport, the producer for the project said, "Have you ever thought about doing your own project?" And I said, that's one of the things on my bucket list. I would love to do, an audio project. We had tried a couple of times to do some video stuff with local Baltimore artists, but we never were able to get it all together.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I said, well, I have all these stories in my head and I'd like to do them. And so we went it took a whole year to put this project together because I had stories that I wanted to use, but because they were co-written with someone else, there was all these legalities and royalties. Because this is like being a recording artist. You sign a deal,
Mhm.
and then after a year of sales, then you get, your royalties. But it was a very small company in Virginia. And so I had like at least 5 or 6 stories, but 3 of them I couldn't use because they were co-written with other people. So time was going on, and he says we really want to be able to get this project out before the beginning of next year. So then we just settled on the 3 stories that we're doing now, and so I settled on what's called an origin story, a slave story, and then an inspirational story. So
Okay.
the Dale's Tales, and I fought for that because I said, there's a little double entendre up in there that I know that the brothers will get, but it's cool because I wanted them to realize because it's a very conservative company, and they only do what their main source of income is they provide materials for Christian people who teach their kids at home. So people who are when you
Homeschooling.
Okay.
homeschooling, yes, they're
Schooling.
like a homeschooling company. So they had purchased Jim Weiss to add to their collection, and they wanted to bring in more diverse authors. So because I wanted to tell some queer stories, and they were like, "Well, we're just a little uncomfortable." Like they had no problem saying that I was a queer author, but they were
Mhm.
nervous about me telling a queer story. So they said, we want you to be able to build an audience and then we can embrace it. Let's see how your first CD goes. And so just the fact that they accepted me on my own terms of they didn't try to hide that I was gay, but they asked that
Okay.
I not tell a gay story this time with the hope that we could tell one later on. So,
Mhm.
um, an origin story is when you're a griot, when you're telling African stories to kids, you tell stories like, why the sky is blue, why the butterfly has wings, or why the things in nature we kind of come up with humorous tales behind it, you know, like God talking to Gabriel and saying, let's throw some color here, let's throw some color there. And so Zora Neale Hurston originally did the How God Created Butterfly story. And
Mhm.
it's one of those stories that's in public domain. So any author can take it and embellish it and create it in their own way. So
Mhm.
taking the educational aspect of it, I wanted to teach the rainbow of colors. So I secretly get a little rainbow up in there. But at the same time, I'm teaching you, oh, if you take blue and red, you'll get purple. If you take, you know, yellow and blue, you'll get green. So I'm telling Zora Neale Hurston's story, but I'm also teaching you about all the different colors of the rainbow in it. So,
Wow.
so it still is part of who I am as a brand, and I still get
Yes.
a little something, something up in there. But for the most part, the publishing company goes, "Oh wow, this is a really fun way to tell it." And I was like, "Yeah, it is." So, so so the story I was most worried about was there's a story that is told called "The People Who Could Fly," and it's a story that is the story of how the song "Kumbaya" came to be, and it's a
Mhm.
Gullah story that that tells a fictitious tale of slaves flying away to freedom and the expression "flying away to freedom," and um, we used to tell this story, and we would tell the story of Africans coming over to America and losing their power of being able to fly. But one man who was a powerful witch doctor kept the secret words, and the secret word was kumbaya, kumbayala. And so when we would tell the story as storytellers, we would join hands and we would stand on our tiptoes and we would sing kumbaya, kumbayala, and then we would go into the song, kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. So I wanted to tell the story, but the story also depicts the horror of slavery, of how the slave master treated the witch doctor's daughter in the field, and how he whipped her, and how she was carrying her baby. And she comes to him in tears, and she's like saying, "I know you know the words that help us fly away to freedom." And so he tells her the secret word, and she lifts up with her baby, and she flies away to freedom. It's a very emotional story.
Oh,
Um,
it just
One
gave me
time
chills.
we told this story in a Baltimore jail. You could hear a pin drop. And I didn't realize until after we left why that
Uh-huh.
story was so powerful, because there's Black men in prison who
And they
want to
wanna
get out to be free. But I'm
yeah.
like, why did we pick this story? And it's like, ooh, this is scary, this moment, because they were like, we want to get up out of here. So, and then my
But it
third
inspired them, I'm sure.
yeah,
It
it
inspired.
did. It inspired them, and so the original story that I created for this is I took the story of the three little pigs and I turned it into a story about Black women's hair, and I called it Three Heads of Hair, and it's all about a white woman who comes to town to get, you know, the braids, the weave, and the afro, and she
Mhm.
goes from door to door until she finally gets to the last one where she doesn't get what she, but it's a parody of the Three Little Pigs story, which I had
Mhm.
so much fun doing because I did it in like limericks and rhymes. So
Okay.
I'm
That's
excited about
cool.
that one.
I love your
Awesome.
creativity. I feel like you can take anything and spin it and make it something brilliantly gay or just fabulous. I don't know. I just
I think you're right. I think that's my gift. I can teach and I can slip some gay in there.
Uh-huh. Let me ask you this. How do you think that this book will contribute to the current landscape of African American stories that we have available? Like, what have you seen, or have you seen anything recently that kind of compares or sets the tone in the way that this book does? Is that a fair question?
It's a fair question because the first thing that comes to my mind is that, you know, we as Black people are constantly creating great product all the time. The question
Hmm.
Absolutely.
is, does it ever get to us? Does it ever get
Hmm.
to our audiences? So that's the importance behind this project, is that this is a company that may not have ever gotten an African American story in the audiences, in their target audience. Now
Hmm.
that they have, it actually, the best way I can compare it to is like Motown. It's like if Berry Gordy had not created Motown, then Black music would not have been able to cross over to white audiences. We would have only been listening to Stax and Atlantic. We'd only be listening to Black music played by Black people on Black stations.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Berry Gordy was smart enough to say, you know what? Let's figure out a way so we can cross it over. So he put some white artists on his labels. He took Black people's pictures off the albums at first until he could saturate his market, until he created the sound of Young America. So, so for me, Well-Trained Mind is like taking their Black artists and getting their Black audience, Black author to audiences, so people will kind of go, wow, I want to learn more African American stories. I didn't know that they existed out there, because you will find some people who didn't even know we tell stories because they're only used to hearing their stories.
True.
Right.
And especially when you live in a world of homeschooling, the world is just the bubble you put around yourself. They become a new audience for me that they may have never even heard of a Black storyteller. So I look at it that way. I look at it as we create products, but sometimes our products doesn't get to anyone other than ourselves. And it's important for us to know that, because, when I grew up, my elementary school was all Black. When I went to junior high schools, when busing started, and I actually had white friends. So there's a plus and a minus about being in an all Black environment, but there's also the plus and minus about being in an integrated environment. You get newer books, you get better product to work with, but there's an appreciation of your history that's important in there. So we as individuals have to find a way to be able to still keep and hold on to that importance and share that even when we get into that saturated market.
That's true. Hence the reason why we have this show. We want to highlight and celebrate and help spread the word, because visibility does matter. And if it's not getting to people, they will never know. Right. So yeah, that's just my little 2 cents. Because naturally I'm an introvert, right? I'm an introvert. I like to stay in my bubble sometimes, but I sacrificed, and going back to what you said, there are things that you sacrifice while you're on that journey because you have that passion or because it's something that's really in you to do. So you've always stayed true to you, and all I see is perseverance. All I see is perseverance and the ability to be the chameleon that you need to be, because what's in here means more than this temporary moment of having to do. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thank you for that.
Thank you. I know it took me a while to embrace that part. I had to. We always question, especially like when you've grown up and you've lived as long as I've had, and you see friends leave this earth, and you go, why does God have me here? And every time I do something, I say, well, it must be here for a reason. Must be here to do this. I've lived this long. It's like so and so. It's like, have my high school class ain't around. And then you lose so many friends to HIV and AIDS, and then substance abuse is huge in Baltimore, and you just kind of go, I don't know. And somehow I stepped over all of that, and I'm still here. Okay, there must be something else. There's something else left for me to do, because once he takes me, it'll be like, okay, you've done enough now. It's time to move you on to something else. But I keep thinking. Every day I wake up with another idea. Then it's like, okay, well, maybe I'll do this, and then maybe that'll be all I have left. But then each day I get handed something else new, and it's. It gives me the inspiration to get out of the bed in the morning, Yes. That's why I jump up so early, because all the creative juices just pour in, and I go, oh, let me get up. Like I was writing, I have a film script I'm working on called Sissy Sammy in the land of WeHo 90069. And we're trying to convert it was done as a children's book. And I did a little short YouTube video about it, but now I'm trying to turn it into a screenplay. And so each character has a song. And so so somebody was reading the script and they said, you're missing the good witch Glinda. So I was like, oh my God. So I have to do this trans fairy. And I wake up with her rhyming lines in my head. So I had to jot that down before I started getting ready for you, before that, because my ideas come in the morning and by noon they're gone.
It's funny you said that, because in studying you prior to you coming on the show, I had shared with Kenan that was actually one of my favorites.
Yeah, he did say that's one of his favorites. Yeah.
It's like one of those projects that I know I'm going to be on television. I've been working on this project for about 20 years to get Sissy Sammy out here.
Is it that old? Is it one of your first publications?
I wrote Sissy Sammy in college. I wrote it as a part of a college a college homework assignment in
Okay.
2007. I wrote
Okay.
Sissy Sammy.
So it's coming up
And
on 20
I
years.
read the first draft at Long Beach Gay Pride. They had a poets booth, and I read
Mhm.
what I had done. And these two old gay men started crying, and he said, "You're telling my story. You're telling my story." And I was like, "Okay,
Aw.
now I got to really work on him." And so each year, I just keep evolving him, and this story keeps growing bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
That's
I tell
amazing.
you, it caught my interest in going through your profile. I was like, okay, I got to still study a little bit more. I can't just focus on this book here. But it
Yeah.
was really good.
That was
So
Yeah.
one of the
please.
stories that I wanted to tell in this project, and the publishers
Mhm.
were really scared of dealing with it. I said, because it really is an adult fairy tale for your audiences who are listening in to us. Sissy Sammy is a parody of The Wizard of Oz. So it's about a little boy from Compton who gets bullied, knocked out. He wakes
Mhm.
up in the land of rainbow flags, which is West Hollywood. Because if you go to West
That's
Hollywood, if
fine.
you've ever been to LA and West Hollywood, everything is rainbow flags, rainbow, rainbow, rainbow. So he meets a drag queen, he meets a lesbian, and he meets a sex worker, and he's trying to find a bus token to get back. And along the way, you meet the bad guy, which is a drug dealer. But he accidentally killed the drug dealer's brother. But what's missing in the story is the good witch, because I make the good witch the DJ who tells them, everybody had what they had in their heart all along. But when I was reading it with some writers, it was like, no, he should he should not be able to have the power, because the wizard didn't really have the power in the Wizard of Oz. It's the witch, it's
True.
the good witch
The
that
wi-
tells
Mhm.
Dorothy where to go. So now I'm just been reworking that story, and writing is rewriting. So it's always a good thing when you learn. I'm so glad that I caught that now, because I would have hate for it to get too far out into the world and it be missing
Mhm.
that one important element. So yeah,
Wow.
that's one of my current babies that I'm working on, my Sissy Sammy. That's
When
that's that's
you
very
get
close
the
to my heart.
final, please make sure you come back on and share
Yes.
with us the final and give us.
Okay.
Yes. Dale, I've been following you since I got on Facebook, like back in '09. So we've had that little linkage where every so often I'm looking at what you're doing and this, that, and the other. Like, yeah, I've been around. So, but now that I have this platform, I'm like, you know what? Why not? All this talent that I've been seeing, let me bring these folks, let me highlight them, let me help out in the cause and bringing awareness to our people.
That is so humbling, because you never know who's watching you. You just never know.
True,
You know.
true.
Because
And I've been
I
watching you,
watch
Dale.
people, and it's like, and I keep saying to myself, don't forget them, because when you get to such and such and such, you want to be able to reach out and pull that person in, or you want to be able to reach out and pull that person in. So I am so humbled. I'm so humbled that you remembered, and then asked me to share today, because we don't have enough platforms for our voices. So
We don't.
this is wonderful, and I can't thank you enough for doing what you're doing and doing it from your heart. It's great.
Oh, thank you, Dale. Dale, I
Thank
want a
you.
doll. I want a doll, and I want him to have a penis with some balls. Okay. Matter of fact, I want two of them. Okay.
So you're gonna have to hold on, Kino. So I will think about making dolls for people again. Think about it in between scripts and everything else.
All the other things you
Yes.
have going
All the
on.
other
Yes,
things. Well,
all the other things.
just for now, just think about Kenan, making Kenan the two dolls, and then we'll think about starting to make them for other people. Like when I first saw the collection that you did, or I guess the original collection you did,
Mhm.
I was like, I want one. Like, I want one of these.
So are you a doll collector? Do you have dolls?
You know what? I don't have dolls per se, but I like to collect unique things that I feel I may never find again.
Mhm.
And outside of the types of dolls you've made, I can't think of another time I've ever seen them. So for me, that would be like like, hey, don't go in that room. Don't go in that room. That's where all my masks, my statues, and my dolls are. Don't go in that room. So it would be a first for me, but one of those things, I kind of have an eclectic type of thing that I do where I get those things that you feel like you may never see again. So
Dorian, are you
yeah.
a collector?
I am not. I am, and right now I am in this decluttering mode. I want to become a minimalist.
But I just faithfully admit I am a clutter person. I keep in clutter, and I shouldn't. But it's one of those things that gives me joy. It's like I ain't smoking crack, and I ain't out here killing people. So if I want to keep a couple of little dusty dolls around and a couple of extra pair of pants that's all in the same three different sizes, that's me.
Yeah, and
We
those would
all
be
got our
something like
vices at the end of the
That
day.
we
we
do.
do, we do. And then for me, I'm not gonna lie, that would be something I would keep treasured. Like, okay, this got to be passed down. Like, you got to
Right.
keep these around.
I wrote it in my will that I want my dolls donated to a museum in Baltimore when
Yeah.
I pass.
Oh,
Okay.
that's amazing. Yes.
Because I think because part of it is just the history. Like I remember I found a doll in the 70s called Gay Bob, and it was called Come Out the Closet with Gay Bob. And he had a little
Hmm.
teeny penis. He was a white doll with blonde hair and earrings, a red plaid shirt and blue jeans, very, very white. And I didn't buy him then, but I thought was so fascinated by it. But
Mm-hmm.
years later, when I was touring the country going to doll shows, I was able to find the doll, and so I purchased it to
Okay.
keep it with me because part of these things are the history of us as gay people, and then of course
True.
they came out with Tyson. The Tyson dolls came out with the huge penises like in the early 2000s, and it was like, okay, I got to have these dolls because once that company went out of business, that's it. You're not going to be able to see those dolls
You
anymore.
know, true.
Yeah. Now, Tom of
True.
Finland actually makes dolls with penises, but they don't make black dolls. I
They
bought
don't
one at
make them.
RuPaul's DragCon this year, and it's got a removable penis. It's literally you can take the penis off.
Mm-hmm.
You can make it hard, or you can make it soft. And I said to the manager who was black, I said, could you call me when you get a black doll? Because I'm gonna buy this doll because it got a dick. But if you could just ask the company to make a black one, I would literally buy it. I just want to make sure that but it's
Right.
these companies, they don't realize, they don't think we're that important.
That's why we need you, Dale. That's why we need you.
That's
And we
the
need your
importance
dolls with
of
dicks,
it.
okay? Bring us the dolls with dicks, Dale.
I still have the ads in the Baltimore paper they were called Damn Good Man dolls.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, damn good Dale Guy Madison, damn good man. That was my brand, and so yeah, my I had they were literally 12, and the goal was we were going to make 12. We were going to market them to a company, and then have each one represent a day of the month. I mean, a calendar.
A
They would
month.
be calendar
Okay.
dolls, and I would take them to different doll shows, and I would line them all up. And after those 12 got sold, I just did not. Because stuffing them penises with cotton and putting them little balls in there for testicles, and people were always coming in the store feeling the penis.
Yeah, that's the first thing you gotta
That's the
test it
first thing you want to
out.
do is feel a penis.
Yes.
Dorian looks like he's so embarrassed of Kenan.
I'm
He's
not.
not. He's not. Dorian would probably touch it before me. He put no.
I was my last role as a background actor was on Dreamgirls, so I was in the final scene where they bring Effie on stage and she has her daughter with her, and Jamie Foxx sees his
Mhm.
daughter. So we shot that for 2 nights in downtown LA. And I remember Jennifer Hudson walking right behind me to go into the theater. And I was sitting like a couple of seats behind Danny Glover. And I was just like, I get to see the finale song of Dreamgirls shot, and it was over and over and over again. So I was like, arm's length from Beyonce, and it was just, it was worth being an extra in that moment because I couldn't do anything else but just sit there and just applaud because that's all you had to do
Yeah,
was just applaud. So that was such
Such a great
a
movie.
wonderful moment. Yeah.
Such a great
I love
movie.
that.
And it's
Oh.
you gay when you can say any line from Dreamgirls and all your gay friends know all the answers. Woo! They all know the comeback line. You're lying, you never been so thin. You're lying because you're sleeping with that thing who thinks she better than anybody. She ain't nothing but common. Woo! Hey,
That is.
don't get me into my dream girl mode. Woo!
I
So
Because I
did
love
you
it.
get to
saw
see the original
Dreamgirls
play?
30 years on Broadway. I saw Dreamgirls with
That's what.
Loretta
Okay.
Devine and Shirley
And
Ralph. Yeah, I saw it
That.
yeah,
twice on Broadway. Yeah.
that must have been an experience.
Yeah.
That must have been an experience.
It was
Yeah.
such an amazing, magical time. Ooh, that night.
Mm.
First time I went with my best friend, and we went to the bathhouse that was like down the street. And then we went to see Dream Girls. Then we went back to the bathhouse and we had trade all night long. That was fun. Then the second
I'm
time I
glad you
went,
said you went back, because I'm saying, wasn't that a little out of order?
baby, it was New York. It was 42nd Street. You could do whatever you want to, you know.
Hey.
Because we didn't stay in a hotel. You know, bathhouses was, you know, that was like, you know, get your locker, boom, 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 go, come on back. Yeah. All night long. Party till the sun come up and then catch your bus back to Baltimore.
Wow.
I'm not mad.
Y'all ever heard of Chicago? Y'all know about tea dances.
I don't.
Blank faces. Tea dances were Sunday afternoon parties that started at 3:00.
I know what a tea dance is, but
Right.
here's the thing. I'm not even from Chicago. Dorian, what are you doing?
Dorian had the blank look like, you know what a tea dance, because club, house music,
Well, house music I'm very familiar with, because they came out during my early part of my high school. So I'm very familiar when house music really became, and by time, once again, I'm not going to say that I was a kid that was kept under lock and key, but as being that oldest child, my mother wasn't letting me too far out of her sight.
Gotcha.
So I wasn't one of them 15 and 16-year-olds that snuck out of the house.
So I really want to share with your audiences that, especially if your audiences reaches young people who happen to be in New York, I'm going to be doing a keynote address at PrideWorks LGBTQI Youth Conference in upstate New York. And I will be showing a short film that I appeared in called Pray the Gay Away. My keynote address is going to address chosen family. It's all about how young people can strengthen their coming out experiences by choosing their family. It's so important that sometimes when our blood family isn't where we need them to be because they can't get there, that we need to be open to chosen family. A lot of my experiences working at the Los Angeles LGBT Center, I have youth who still reach out to me, who I still consider my children, because we've created those kinds of bonds. And Kenan, if you were a kid, you'd be happy to know that I will be doing a gay doll workshop. I'll be teaching kids how to put together pride dolls that express different aspects of who they are. They're not like my traditional dolls, but I'll be doing a doll workshop, and I'll be doing a keynote address on chosen families. So if you are in New York, the 14th of March, and you're a teen, not a young, handsome, hot adult, but a teen, attend PrideWorks at March 14th. PrideWorks. It's upstate New York. They told me the place. I just know it's upstate New York. It's not too far out of New York, but it's upstate New York. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll be doing a doll workshop, and I'll be doing a keynote address. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm excited about my oral storytelling. I'm excited about my storytelling project, but I'm also excited to always meet young LGBT people wherever I go, and it gives me so much joy to be able to see them live, see their faces. I've done several keynote addresses, and some of those kids still follow me on Instagram. So it's just so good to see them as they grow into an adult, and that they still reach out and keep in touch. Social media is really great for us in that sense, because it gives us voices to be able to talk to people that we would not normally be able to see.
This is true. And see, Dale, you
one of the reasons I love social media.
Yeah. Dale, you're leaving these you're impacting these people, and they have to stay connected to you. Like I had to stay connected to you because seeing
You made me cry. I was like, my God, you've been following me that long?
Yes. So that being said, Dale, any advice or reflections, anything you want to share?
Always rely on never giving up on your dreams and believing in yourself. And they sound trite, and they sound already, it's been said 100 times, but for me, it was always just learning to be true to myself and to keep following that journey and believing in myself. Some people don't find that, but it's so important that we ask ourselves those hard questions as to who we are and what's going to make us happy. Because at the end of the day, if you aren't happy, then you can't make anybody else happy. It's that old expression: if you don't love yourself, then how the hell is somebody going to love you? It's like, it's like, how else did you find your partner? You have a complete, powerful love for yourself, and that love attracts other people. When you're comfortable in your own skin, then people can't abuse you. When you're comfortable with who you are, then people are drawn to you because you represent something. And so, you know.
Come on now. Yes.
It-
Yes. That's what I
you
needed, Dale.
you speak volume, and
Yeah,
I
it comes out
appreciate it.
unplanned. It comes because I ramble. You know, I ramble because I'm a storyteller. I'm always telling little stories in everything I do. You know.
Family, if you have not already, How God Created Butterflies and Other African American Stories, it's available on Audible. We have the wonderful, the fabulous Dale Guy Madison. And thank you again, Dale, for spending this time with us. Again, you can catch him in NYC March 14th.
14th.
All you have to do is Google Pride Works, catch him in NYC. And Dale, we have to have you back on the show.
Yes.
We have to have you back.